Did you know that 80 to 90% of ebooks never sell more than 250 copies total? I know this is true because on July 17th, 2014, I published my first ebook. And at the time I recorded this video, I had only sold 225 copies. Now, since then, I've written ebooks and print books that have made me thousands of dollars. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the #1 reason why your ebook is likely to fail and 3 tips to make sure your ebook is a success. When I was a kid, I would go visit my grandmother during the summer, and it seemed like every year, every summer, she would always ask me, "What do you want to do with yourself when you get older?" And I would give her a list of things. I would say I wanted to be an engineer, a lawyer, an architect, a doctor, a baseball player. And she would just look at me and laugh, and she'd say, "You know what? You need to find one thing and stick to it." And you know what? She was right. It took me a while, but I did figure it out. When it comes to writing ebooks, you need to take one problem and find one specific person and put those together, and that'll create a great product idea. You see, when you don't focus on solving one problem for one specific person, that's going to make your ebook difficult to write, difficult to read, and difficult to sell. Not only your ebook, but any digital product, online courses, webinars, whatever. Everything needs to be built around solving one specific problem for one specific person. When it comes to writing your ebook, not being specific isn't a problem that you created. It's something that you were taught. When you think about it, when you were in school, elementary school, high school, even college, you were primarily writing research papers, book reports, and essays. And when you think about it, all of those types of writing aren't very specific. They're very broad. When people purchase ebooks, people are purchasing them to identify or to solve a specific problem, and they want that problem. The problem that's being solved is something that's related to them. So it's a specific problem, and they want to solve for a specific person themselves. The funny thing is, we're all wired to be specific. We all think specific. Think about how you solve the problems in your life. Let's just say your back hurts. You have pain in your back. You're not going to a foot doctor. You're going to see a chiropractor. Let's say you have chest pains. You're not going to see a general practice doctor. You're going to see a cardiologist, or you'll feel better about seeing a cardiologist. If your air conditioner doesn't work, you're not calling the plumber. You're already wired to think specifically. For a specific problem, you want to reach out to a specific person. You're already thinking that way. So when a person sees your ebook, or when they run across the title of your ebook and it doesn't speak specifically to them, it automatically turns them off, because everybody is wired to think in a specific way. And when they see general topics or general titles, people already know that that product, your ebook, written in a general way, is not for them. But there is a solution to this problem, and I'm going to share with you 3 tips on how you can make your ebook or any of your digital product specific to one person to solve one specific problem. When you come up with an idea for your ebook, the first tip is you want to stick to one of what I call the evergreen or main categories. These are categories that typically everybody has an issue in one of these categories, or they have a problem that fits into one of these categories. The categories are either health, wealth, or relationships. Think about it. Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody wants to make money or be wealthy, and everybody wants to be in a good relationship. So typically, the majority of the issues that people are looking to resolve are in one of these categories. So when you sit down to write, be thinking of one of those categories: health, wealth, or relationships. Now, there are other categories. You could talk about technology. You could talk about landscaping. You could talk about automobiles. All of these other categories are available, but typically these aren't categories that people find problems with. If you stick with the big 3, I guarantee you'll always find your customers. And leave a comment in the comment section if you want me to share with you how any idea you come up with can be made to fit into one of the big 3 categories. Tip number 2 is going to get you one step closer to solving a specific problem for a specific person. It's what I call getting skinny. So when I talk about getting skinny, you're going from a big category like health, wealth, or relationships, and you're going to narrow it down. And you can accomplish that by, as I said earlier, getting skinny. So let's talk about, or let's think about it. You want to write something in the category of health. So let's just say it's weight loss. So you go from talking about just health in general to beginning to talk about weight loss. But what about if you said you want to help, or you have a solution for somebody who wants to lose weight that's over 55 and has diabetes? You narrow it down even further, or you get even skinnier. Let's say you want to narrow it down further, or get more skinny. You talk about somebody who's 55 years old, wants to lose weight, who's diabetic, but they also have food allergies. So you make it even more narrow. The more narrow you get, the more you'll become the authority in that area. Now, you always want to make sure you don't get narrow to the point where nobody that you're solving, the problem you have is being solved for no one. You want to keep it narrow or get it narrow, but you also want to make sure there are people that still have that problem and they're still looking for your solution for that problem. Let's look at an example from the wealth category. So let's just say you start with the wealth category and you want to narrow it down, or you want to get skinny. So you go from talking about just wealth in general to saving money. That narrows it down. That gets it skinny. You want to get it skinnier. So you go from just talking about saving money to saving for retirement. Let's just say now you're talking about going from retirement to speaking to a specific person who, say, is over 55 and they want to save for retirement, but they don't want a second job. That makes it even more narrow, more targeted, more skinny. You become that go-to person. You become that person of authority. You become that person that gets recommended for that specific problem. Becoming that go-to person is very powerful. And now you're ready to build something that makes you money 24/7. So if you're ready to write that 6-figure ebook, stuff you already know like the back of your hand, click on the link in the description below. And before you know it, you'll have huge numbers, good news, and 5-star reviews like what you see on your screen right now. Okay, here's tip number 3. We talked about defining your category. That means getting into one of the big 3 categories: health, wealth, or relationships. Then we talked about getting skinny. This next tip is how to create what I call a focus title using the WWW method. The focus title will make sure that your writing is tight and concise. It'll make sure that you're once again reaching or solving a specific problem for a specific person. Now, the WWW method is the who, the what, and the why. And let's take a look at how that works with an ebook title. So let's look at the WWW method when it's being applied to a ebook title. This is a practical use. So let's say the ebook title is 5 steps to turn one idea into a 6-figure ebook, even if you've never written anything before. The who is for somebody that wants to write a 6-figure ebook. So it's likely going to be for an entrepreneur, somebody, or an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody that wants to develop a digital product, in this case an ebook, with the idea or the intention of selling it. The what, you're giving them 5 steps. That's the what. And the why. The why is the outcome. You want the outcome to be either a positive outcome, or you want it to be a negative outcome that you want your reader to avoid. And in this case, the outcome is turning one idea into a 6-figure ebook. That's the WWW method. And if you create your focus title with using that WWW method, it will guarantee that you're speaking to one specific person, solving one specific problem for that person, which is the formula for success for your ebook, your course, or any other digital product that you plan on selling. You've just taken another step closer to launching your first digital product. So if you're ready to write that 6-figure ebook, click on the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.